Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Jeff Oberdank, and the topic of my presentation today is the contemporary period, which goes from 1945 to the present. The reason that this topic is useful for you is it goes through the changes in the writing style from the modernist period. We're going to talk about three of these. First are the authors and the major works. Secondly, historical period and changes. Finally, we're going to look at Hero in the Literature, Atticus Finch, authored by Harper Lee in the year 1960. Due to the limited time I have, I would ask that you ask your questions later on so I can get through my piece, and I'll be glad to answer them for you. First, I will summarize the literary period. And basically, the literary period from 1945 to right now present, and the topics include loss of faith in political and moral authority, erasing boundaries between low and high, and reality represented through language. Some of the key authors in this period, I'm going to bring up four. First one is Kurt Vonnegut, who was Slaughterhouse-Five. George Orwell, who was Animal Farm in 1984, which dealt with the Cold War. Next one is Arthur Miller, The Crucible, which dealt with McCarthyism, communism. And the one I'm going to talk about in more detail a little bit later is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Now we'll move to the second point, which is about the historical period. The time period is important in literature because it dealt with life after World War II ended, with all the issues going on, the atrocities in Germany, Poland, Europe. The Cold War begins with a lot of intimidation from Russia, the United States, Big Brother. And one of the biggest issues I think of the time was the civil rights hits its height during this period, in which we'll talk about in To Kill a Mockingbird. Lastly, I will move to the third point, which is about the literary hero I've chosen, which is the famous Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. It was Harper Lee's first and only novel. She won a Pulitzer Prize, and she just recently came out with another novel before that. But I guess it's hard to mess with perfection. Okay, I chose the three character traits for Atticus Finch. One is courage, and he displays courage within defending a black man in the time of the 1930s Deep South. Next would be intelligence. He displays intelligence in how he handles the court case and proves that Bob Ewell was really the predator of his daughter. But of course the jury went the other way because of the racism at the time. And last but not least is compassionate. He's a compassionate character in that the way he treats Calpurnia, who was a black maid, but treated her in a good way, and she was like the mother to his kids. She let him discipline them. He was great to all the kids, Dill, Jim, and Scout, and he treated Miss DeBose, who died early on in the novel, as a lady, which got a lot of respect. That's all for this point. So, in conclusion, in the presentation, my objectives were to show kind of like how the modernist to contemporary, using Atticus as an example of my example of my hero. I've covered three main points: the authors. Secondly, we talked about the time period, historical time period. Last, we talked about Atticus Finch. I hope you have found this presentation useful. Thank you. Any questions?